Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. This is the Brew Party podcast. I'm your host that definitely doesn't know the most, Andy Hopper, back once again. Episode 116, NFL Week 7 with an OG friend of the podcast, someone who we were just saying it's been ages since we've talked to each other. It is Sam Cardona from the Unsolicited podcast with Sam and Jordan, also the girl who talks sports. Sam, so good to see you. So great to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I am so stoked to be on the Brew Party again. It's always an honor to come on here. And yeah, things are great. The Giants are 1-5, but things are great. We're battling through
I'm
it.
right there with you. I'm right there with you. I like to, get fans of teams on here that are also struggling, so we really just connect to each other. It's funny. I've talked to Tom and Caitlin Brower all this year, so this is Giants fan number 3. We're basically a Bears and Giants podcast at this point. Just deal with it. But there are so many fucking similarities between our teams. Like I connect with you guys a lot. So I always love getting to talk to you, especially getting your takes on not just the Giants, but the entire NFL, because we always seem to have a good time. Before we get into our talk, please plug yourself. Anything you want us to know.
Yeah, totally. So, I still am the girl who talks sports, but I don't really post too much on my YouTube and podcasts anymore. But I do have a new podcast. It's called Unsolicited with Sam and Jordan. Some people may know her. She was on the Brew Party a couple of weeks ago. The
Yep.
Sporty Jordy. She is my co-host. And we just kind of shoot the shit and just kind of do whatever we want to do on this podcast. You can find it on YouTube at the Unsolicited Podcast with Sam and Jordan. We are on, I never remember our socials. God, it's so bad. I think it's where the Unsolicited _ podcast everywhere except for Twitter, which is Sam and Jordan, because there's a character limit on Twitter and it won't let me make it the same. So that's where we are. And we're having a good time. It's fun.
You said you're off this week, but when do you normally post episodes?
So we will usually post our episodes on Thursdays. But also Jordan and I are very chaotic and sometimes we just do it whenever we want.
Sure.
So
Sure.
Jordan's in Jamaica this week, so we are not posting an episode this week, but we have been pretty consistent this past year. So
I love it. That is the toughest part of doing this, is keeping up the consistency and doing it week to week. I struggle with it so much. I'm actually shocked that it's week 7 and this will be my 7th straight week
there
of
you
doing
go.
it. So I really appreciate you being here, Sam. Before we get into it, I'll plug myself real quick. Thanks everybody for listening, watching, wherever you're at. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Just search The Brew Party. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/The Brew Party. Please like this video, comment, tell us your favorite team, tell us your picks for this week, tell us what you thought about last week, tell us what you think about my picks. I don't really care. I just appreciate you being here. Hit that subscribe button. I think we're at 95 subscribers now. Help me get to 100, please. Join the party. Tell a friend who tells a friend. And then all of our socials, we are at The Brew Party on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And then at The Brew Party Podcast on Facebook. That always bothers me too, having a different social. And then www.thebrewparty.com for our episodes and links, places to find them. And then if you're interested, the best way to support the show, we got brand new Brew Party merch, motherfuckers. It is out on our Etsy shop. So it is, I have it right here. Thank God. www.etsy.com/shop/the Brew Party. Got a ton of different stuff. T-shirts. I have dog bandanas and dog hoodies on there. Glassware, ping pong balls, a bunch of different stuff. Go check it out. A lot of cool stuff on there. As always, appreciate the support from everybody. Sam, let's get into it. First, we're going to talk week 6. Just quick week 6. Well, not really a quick one because I have a couple other games from week 6 to talk about. But is there anything that I did not previously prep you on that you wanted to talk about from week 6? Any game that stood out to you besides the stuff that I had in the notes?
So I'm going to just look at it for a second because I worked on Sunday and it's a blur. I cannot even remember. Oh, the Jets-Eagles game was phenomenal television. My dad is a Jets fan, so I was watching it with him. My mom's also a Jets fan, but she's kind of like a new Jets fan. She just kind of show it up wherever she wants. But I was literally I also excuse me, Jordan, if you're watching or listening, I was so happy to see the Eagles downfall. Like, every once in a while, these undefeated teams, they need a little, you know, like a
Need a reality check.
right, exactly. And you're just like, it's like you're good, but you're not that good. You're not going to be undefeated. So
Right.
even the 49ers, who I'm like kind of rooting for, like I was
They're a
like, good.
likable team for how good they are.
I know, I know. It's like, and as an NFC team, I don't want to like them, but in
Right.
reality, I'm like, they're my Super Bowl pick for this year, like for real. So yeah, but week 6 was a bit of a doozy. Some major game changers.
Right. So no more undefeated teams left in the NFL. So the Eagles, like you said, losing to the Jets. Former Illini Tony Adams with that game clinching interception there off Jalen Hurts. So shout out to the Jets, 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 Jets. Sorry, Jordan. But I do think Eagles 49ers NFC Championship game would be sick. And the 49ers, they lost to the Browns in a really, really rough game. Probably Brock Purdy's worst game as a pro. McCaffrey got hurt. Even when he was in the game, he really was not that effective. Trent Williams went down. Deebo Samuel went down.
Yeah.
And, they thought they did enough there at the end. They thought they got into field position and a field goal position, I should say. And Jake Moody just pushes it wide right. And, it's always nice to see the Browns win one. They're so hard to hate. They really are, because they're like the Cubs. They're the lovable losers of the NFL. They had the all white uniforms on with the white helmets, which I thought were pretty cool. And PJ Walker, XFL legend. Anytime he can get a win in the NFL without throwing a touchdown pass, I'm in on that.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a Big Ten West football game. It was just like this, it was almost like the Iowa Wisconsin game over the weekend where they just abysmal offense. It's just almost like watching a different sport. But anyway, I think those were two of the big ones, obviously, because like we said, the two undefeated teams that went down. I want to talk a little bit about the primetime games. Let's start off with your team. Let's start off with Sunday Night Football.
Hopefully.
The Giants. They gave the Bills a hell of a fight. The Bills barely escaped there at the end. Probably a pass interference on the last play. Probably more so pass interference than the play before, if I'm being honest. Emotions watching that game. I know how you are. I know you live and die with every snap. You love the Giants like I love the Bears. What was it like? Because obviously, like you said, they'd won one game going in. We know how good this Bills team is, but as good as they are, they always seem to be getting themselves into this situation where they are just in these close games with teams that it just feels like they have no business being this close with.
I mean, if you guys are watching, you can see I have 2 pennants on my wall. They're both New York red, white, and blue teams. The Bills are kind of like my AFC team in a way. The Giants are my main team, but I do really love the Bills. So when this was in prime time, I was like, wow, this is going to wreck me. So when this game was finally happening, I was really impressed with the fact that we were shutting them out without scoring touchdowns. We don't score touchdowns. I don't know. We just kick field goals, which is why I drafted Graham Gano into my fantasy team. So makes sense. But I was literally like halfway through the game, I was like, okay, like feeling okay, but we can't get our hopes up because, we kind of, could wreck everything. Tyrod Taylor's kind of weird. And then there was that horrible play at the end of the first half where he ran the ball for whatever reason. I don't know what the hell happened there, but I was like, okay, we ended on a bad note. I'm not going to get myself all hyped up. And then this game started going and going. And that last drive, I was like, holy shit, we are going to beat the Bills right now. Like, it's going to happen.
Oh, no.
I don't know. All of my confidence just flowed into Tyrod Taylor. And I was like, you got this, buddy. You can do it. And that last play, when I tell you and I'm not even being dramatic, I sunk to my knees. I literally was standing in front of the TV and I just collapsed. My dad was watching with me and he was like, man, what a fucking loss. Like, that's hard. I wish like they just blown us out at that point,
Yep,
like
that is, I
that's
would
a harder
100%. I would have 100% rather lose by 50 than lose by that.
I was like, "Oh my god." And then the fact that, it was like a holding, pass interference, anything you wanna throw in there, it woulda stuck,
Mhm.
and they just didn't call it, and I was sitting there waiting for the flag, and they didn't show up, and then the Bills were celebrating, and I was like, first of all, the Bills did not win that game.
No,
Nobody
absolutely
really
not.
won that game. It was atrocious, but I was like, "Damn." It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was hard.
Uh, I mean, you talked about it. It was the clock management at the end of the first half when, if the Giants play that properly and get in the end zone, they win the game.
100%.
They would have won the game. I mean, there was a lot said about Dable blowing up on the sideline at Taylor, but I think he had every right to. Taylor audibled to a run for some reason. And I mean, he's a veteran quarterback. He's got to know that situation. I mean, they
Right.
talked about on the broadcast how, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't, turn the ball over a lot, and he doesn't really beat himself. But I mean, feels like they lost the game on that play, and you still had an entire half to go.
Yeah.
I think my second question here, because I know how big of a Josh Allen fan you are, and I had retweeted this tweet, and I saw that you liked it. So I wanted to bring this up because it feels true. And I don't know if it's just him or the Bills in general, but this is a tweet from Derek Klassen at QB Class on Twitter. Said Josh Allen's curse is that he is exactly as good as whoever he is playing against.
Yes.
Which is he cursed? Does he play down to his opponents? Because it feels like they get into these games once or twice a year with teams that they are on paper or, just from looking up and down the roster, you'd feel like they're a million times better than that they'll struggle with and, lose to, a la the Jags a couple years ago. And then they'll go and just beat like the Chiefs or play neck and neck with whoever else the better team in the AFC is. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, when I saw that tweet, I was like, "Oh my god, that is like the most perfect way of explaining that because it is so true." I mean, if you think about like Josh Allen in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes, you get some of the best freaking football you'll ever see. Like it is just immensely amazing. And then, I feel like even that first week when Josh Allen was going up against the Jets post Rodgers injury, it was just disgusting. And you were just like, what the hell is going on? And then following week, like he's playing great. And they lost to the Jags again in London last week or 2 weeks ago. Last week?
Yeah, they
I don't
did.
know. One
They
of
did
those.
lose to the Jags. I'll give them more of a pass on this one because the Jags had already been there
Right.
for a week. They didn't have the jet lag, and the Jags are a lot better than they have been. They're
Yeah,
kind of
but
they're kind of building, but
yeah.
you're right. It was a game they were favored to win.
Yeah. Yeah, but they did have an amazing drive towards the end of the game, and then Josh Allen did throw a pick. I mean, it wasn't even his fault, but, like, just even that in and of itself, it's like, that's just bad luck. But honestly, he might be cursed, or he might just have this, like, crazy mentality that he's like, "Oh, it's the Giants, who cares?" Like, which is a horrible way to go into a football
Yeah,
game.
exactly. Do you I think that's a great point. Are they just overlooking these teams like, "Oh, we're just way better than these guys." And,
Which, like, they're not. They're not.
No,
They I
no.
mean, they're a good football team, but, like,
Mhm.
they are not like, every year I say the Bills are going to the Super Bowl, and they never go. So, like
Well, this year, I think they're missing like 3 of their top guys on defense,
yeah,
and that offensive line wasn't doing them really too many favors, against the Giants, but you're right. It always seems to come down to this last drive where you're like, "Oh, okay, they're definitely gonna score here. There's no way they're gonna lose to blank," right?
yeah,
And it's, they'll go down to the red zone and he'll have some crazy turnover, whether it's because he's trying to do too much or what. But I think I saw that tweet and I think I immediately hit retweet because it's
yeah.
like, yeah, that's exactly he said what everybody was thinking because he will play up to his competition or he'll play down to him. So I don't know who they're playing this week, but we'll get to it later. One more quarterback I wanted to talk to you about because I know you are a big fan of this guy as well. Monday Night Football. It was turned out to be it was a good game. I was hoping for some more points, and I was hoping the
Yeah.
Chargers won. But there could have been worse ways to spend my Monday night.
Right.
Justin Herbert, he's a guy I'm a fan of as well. He's a guy I got to see play in person in college one time, which was crazy still to think about. He's got a broken, I think, middle finger on his left hand. You could tell that was kind of affecting him a little bit. And, I'm not putting this loss 100% on him because it wasn't. But there were, man, I think this is the first time I've really seen him, miss that many wide open guys by as much as he was missing them, right? I'll just open it up. What did you think about this performance? Was this, I don't know what to say other than that. What do you think?
Yeah. Herbie makes me feel certain ways when he plays football because sometimes he comes out and you're like, dude is a rock star. Like he just comes out and he's got this cannon of an arm. He can throw like 75 yards. Like you're just like, I love him. And he's like this top 5 quarterback. He gets put in the conversation with Josh Allen, with Patrick Mahomes. And then he comes out and he does this. And like, yes, he did have the broken finger, which people might say isn't a huge effect. It's a huge effect. Like you're literally working with your hands here. It's like, it's really difficult to deal with that. And you're falling, you're trying to catch yourself. You're not trying to bend your finger back. It's tough. But man, this Chargers team is like, thank God though, because I just needed a Keenan Allen touchdown to win my fantasy team this week.
There you
go.
It
happened. And I was like, thank God. I was like, praise. But other than that, I was like, where you're right. Where were the points? I was fully expecting it to just be like a freaking gun show, and it just didn't happen.
Especially after the first 2 drives. Like there was 10 minutes left in the first quarter and it was already 7-7. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
But you bring up an interesting point also, where I'm sorry. This was the first time the Chargers have not scored 24 points in a game. I believe they were the only team in the NFL to this point to score 24 points in every game. They are addicted to being in one-score games and losing them. They always seem, there's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Chargers are down by 3 with the ball. It's every week. The defense, wasn't doing him too many favors. His offensive line wasn't doing him too many favors. I loved what you said about his finger, because you don't think it's a big deal, but when you have a broken finger, that is always in the back of your mind. Like, and you could tell when he fell that one time, he was trying to keep it up so it doesn't hit, because it hurts like a motherfucker. You don't think it will, but everything, and taking as many snaps as he did every night or all game. Especially out of the shotgun. Like I'm sure that wasn't super comfortable on it either. But he's just a guy, I think, you see how talented he is and what he's capable of. And when he doesn't do that, especially in prime time, or doesn't live up to that standard, is when you get criticism. But hey, that's the job you sign up for, right?
Yeah. And I think that the Chargers are not a bad football team, but like barely a playoff team, maybe a wild card team.
They're not world beaters by any means, right?
No. And like we've seen Justin Herbert in the playoffs, like he does kind of choke a little bit. So I'm a little bit nervous, but also like I'm afraid that he's given the Chargers curse, like the Phillip Rivers curse has like crossed over to Justin Herbert, that like he'll never win a Super Bowl, but he'll like always be good. And you're just like, that's sad.
So they have that new offensive coordinator, right? Kellen Moore actually came over from Dallas.
Right.
And then they showed Brandon Staley. I had no idea he had like a gray beard.
The grays, right?
Yeah, that was so weird, right?
I was like, what, this man aged 30 years in the past year? Like, what the hell?
Apparently coaching the Chargers will do that to you.
It's like being the president of the United States.
I'm sure his seat has got to be very warm at this point. Like, I don't know how many times they can lose a one-score game where, and he was and the thing we liked about him his first couple years is he was put his nuts on the table and he would just go for it anytime. Like he was like Dan Campbell does now. Like he's not afraid to go for it on his own fucking 30-yard line or 45-yard line or whatever. He doesn't do that anymore. So it was rough. I will say Really wish Tony Pollard would have scored on that breakaway reception that he had, or on that ball that Dak just barely missed him by, because that would have won me like another $60. But beggars can't be choosers, I guess.
Sure.
Also, he's on my fantasy team, so that would have been nice too. But anyway, should we be worried about Herbert going forward, or should we say we should be worried about the Chargers as a whole going forward?
I would definitely say more as a whole. I'm not really worried about Justin Herbert. I just want to make sure that like he's not like in the situation where like the coaching is bad and then it reflects on him as being bad. I do think that the Chargers need a little bit of a remodel. I mean, I was thinking about it. Keenan Allen has been around for like years.
He's
Like
been there a
since
long time, like longer
he's
than
like
longer than
30
you think.
something. Yeah, like how old is Keenan Allen?
Let's
Now
look
I
it
have
up.
but I was like literally thinking about it and I was like, he's been around since the Phillip Rivers years, I'm pretty sure.
31. He was 12th pick in the third round. San Diego Chargers with a 12th pick in the third round of the 2013 draft.
I mean, it was when they were San Diego.
Yep, he was a San Diego Charger, San Diego Superchargers.
So I mean, like he's still a good wide receiver, but he's obviously only getting older. So
right.
and Austin Eckler was dealing with injury and contracts and this and that and the other thing. So I do think that there needs to be some tweaking done here. But Justin Herbert as a player, I think the talent is still there. It's just a matter of weapons, coaching, everything.
Right. And this is absolutely, it's something that happens every week in the NFL with every game, is we're going to overreact to every little thing. We got to have something to talk about, right? So I'm not worried. Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Is it the situation? Is it the coaching staff? I saw another tweet. I think it was last night. It was like, can you imagine if Herbert was in Miami with McDaniel right now?
Well, that was a possibility, right?
Offense. Yeah. Like they took Tua over him, which Tua's looked awesome this year. You can't, I'm not trying to take anything away from Tua. This was just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
And of course you're going to do that. But I think if the Chargers do struggle the rest of the year and they miss out on the playoffs, I think Staley is as good as gone. Let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit, unfortunately, about my team, because it was another rough week for the Chicago Bears. We had high hopes coming into this game. You're facing a Minnesota team that also only came in with one win, missing their best player, defense that is very bad, just like ours. And it didn't go well. Fields went back to, weeks 1 through 4 Fields, where he was just kind of hanging on to the ball, didn't really have anywhere to go. Not really getting much help from the offensive line. They started Cody Whitehair at center, who's just not good. Like his snaps were terrible, not really helping out Fields at all. When you have to adjust and jump to get a snap, it's really hard to get into a rhythm. He just felt like he was really slow going through his progressions, and I don't know. He ends up getting hurt because he held onto the ball a little bit too long. Dislocated his thumb, so he is out for this week. Tyson Bagent, I don't know how you say it, is starting. He actually came in relief, looked like okay, not great. He had 2 really bad turnovers that lost the game. He's a rookie. He played at Division II Shepherd University. He was undrafted, so we shouldn't, like Bears fans, we should really temper our expectations here. We shouldn't be expecting this guy to come in and be a world beater. Also, we shouldn't be nobody should be calling for this guy to take Justin Fields' job either. It was terrible. Like, it was a terrible feeling because that game was very winnable. The Minnesota's offense did not look great. They had 1 offensive touchdown on that Jordan Addison catch at the end of the first half. The defense actually played like really well. Tremaine Edmonds and Edwards were everywhere. TJ Edwards, they were making a big impact on linebackers, showing why we brought them in. Just the offense just didn't have enough. It's frustrating when, what worked for the Bears the past couple weeks was getting DJ Moore involved early and often. He had 1 fucking catch in the first half. Like, come on, guys. Like, it just, make it make sense with the coaching staff. I saw this graphic on Twitter where I don't know how they did it or what they used, but it's some kind of formula that analyzed coaching decisions and its effect on outcomes and teams and shit. And the Bears were dead last by a wide margin. With a negative percentage or whatever it was. So it's just not, it's not good. And listen,
Yeah.
I kind of had this in the back of my mind that they were going to lose going in, because it happens every time. Oh my God, we just won a game. We're feeling really good about ourselves. We're playing a team that's coming off a loss, that's missing somebody. And of course they fucking find a way to blow it. It happens every goddamn time.
I feel you.
And at this point, I'm bitter. I want them to win. Obviously, I'm tired of watching a losing fucking team every weekend. It's so taxing, especially when your college team isn't that great either. But oh my God, Illinois actually beat Maryland this weekend. It was insane. I was expecting them to lose by 4 touchdowns, but that's not what we're talking about. The Bears, frustrating. They have the Raiders now, who the Raiders aren't that great either, but they're going to come into Chicago and they will probably win. I don't know. I guess just keep losing at this point and get the number 1 and number 2 overall pick and go from there. But it's, I don't know. I like Justin Fields a lot. It's just so frustrating with how up and down this guy is. I'm sure you can relate to it watching Daniel Jones you see flashes of what this kid can do. And then the very next game, it's just it looks like he's never played before. It's what is going on? What is going on? Yeah, it's just depressing, Sam. It's just depressing.
I mean, I know. And we were talking about it, our teams are very similar. They've been similar for quite a number of years now. But how would you feel if you guys did get Caleb Williams? Are you feeling yes?
At this point, I don't think Fields is the problem. I think coaching is the problem. I think the offensive line is not doing him any favors. It really does help that Tevin Jenkins is back. He's looked really good. A couple weeks ago, I talked about Darnell Wright, the rookie that they've started, and how I wasn't super impressed with him. He actually has improved. I think he's looked really good the last couple weeks. And I'm being really hard on a kid that's a rookie that's adjusting to the NFL game in one of the toughest positions in the NFL, and blocking these absolute monsters, these incredible athletes, and these dudes that are just insane trying to get to the quarterback. And he's held up very well. So they've got a couple pieces there. They still have some money in free agency. Hopefully that they can spend this year, but it's just insane to me that you didn't go draft a center or fucking sign one in free agency, and you just roll with Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair. It's just not great. So I mean, I wouldn't hate, I guess I would get it. I guess I would understand why you would just blow it up and not pick up the 5th-year option on Fields and just say, hey, this Caleb Williams is a prospect that we don't think we can miss out on. What I'd prefer they do is take an offensive lineman. I think he's from Penn State with the funny name at 1, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. at 2, because I just hope the Panthers keep losing. And at this point, just hope the Bears just be the Bears and get a couple high draft picks. But I wouldn't be opposed to Caleb Williams, but also it's okay, how are we going to ruin him? It's just he's the next one in line, unfortunately. But I'm not out on Fields. I like him a lot. He's fun to root for. I think he has potential to be really good. I just don't think he's ever been fully set up for success in Chicago, at all. At all.
I agree. I love watching Justin Fields. When he first came out, I was like, this kid is talented. He can jet, he can throw. It was exciting to watch him. And now it's just, like you said, kind of depressing.
It's sad, yeah.
The team as a whole, I mean, DJ Moore, you guys, he showed up and I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be a game changer. And he has done some, but I don't think nearly enough for the amount that you guys spent on him.
Sure. He obviously the I think this last week he ended up finishing with like 50 yards or whatever, but that was all mostly in the second half. Obviously, the week before, 200 plus with 3
Mhm.
touchdowns, which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a couple 100+ yard performances early in the year, but that was again mostly in garbage time. It's just tough with the price you pay for a guy that talented and to feel like he's not being utilized properly. It's nice to see Cole Kmet finally kind of get involved too, but I don't know if it's. I don't think this is all. I don't think Fields has no blame in this. I do feel like
Right.
sometimes he holds the ball too long, and obviously, makes a couple bad decisions with some bad interceptions and stuff like that. But it just I don't know. We need more design runs for this kid. I think you need to get him out in more bootlegs and just get him using his legs because he's just such a freak athlete and he can hurt you in
Yeah.
so many different ways. But um yeah, it is the pity party on the brew party this week with the Giants and the Bears, but you know, better times ahead. I hope.
Yeah,
I hope.
you know what my biggest fear is
What's that?
that Daniel Jones ends up on another team and does amazing.
Yep.
Like,
Because I
that's
don't.
my biggest fear. It's 'cause I know he's good. Like, people will say Daniel Jones bad, and that's the easy way out. Daniel Jones is actually a decent quarterback. He just has no offensive line, and it's just, like, weird sometimes with,
Mhm.
the way he plays. But I'm like, he's gonna end up someplace else in, like,
And figure it
Minnesota
out.
or something and be, like, fucking stellar, and I'm gonna be so sad. I'm gonna root for him forever, but
I feel the exact same way about Fields. Is whoever if it doesn't end up working out, whoever he goes to next is he will just like I feel like my nightmare scenario is they don't pick up his option and he finds his way to Atlanta
mm,
and he just fucking goes off with Pitts and London, Bijan Robinson. Like imagine how fun that would be
it would be a
actually.
actually great
It would be an
television.
awesome team, but two of my of course, he's starting to bark. Calm down. Two of my former roommates are huge Falcons fans, Braves fans, Georgia fans because they're originally from Savannah. So I would just never fucking hear the end of it. So I would
Mhm.
be 100% out on that. But it would be good for football. So let's get into week 7. So we're just going to go through every game. I'm going to read off the spread, the total, and you're going to give me a pick. It can be whatever you want. And we'll knock it out real quick. So we're going to start with Thursday night football. It is the Jaguars going to New Orleans to play the Saints. The Saints favored in this game by
Interesting.
1.5. Over under of 39.5, which feels very low, but I know the Saints offense, it really hasn't been that impressive this year. Like,
Yeah.
I think every other game, you can count on Rashid Shaheed to run past somebody and Derek Carr to just say, fuck it, Rashid's out there somewhere and throw the ball. Exactly. And he'll score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I really like the Jaguars
I
here. I think
agree.
money line plus 106 is worth a look. And I mean, I think I need to stay away from totals on these primetime games because they all feel like and the worst part about it is, Sam, like it feels like they always get so close to scoring too. And it's like, oh no, we'll settle for 3 here, or we'll go for
Yep.
it on 4th and goal, incomplete pass.
Mhm.
What do you think about this game though? You like the Jags, you like the Saints?
I think I agree with you. I think I'm feeling the Jags. I mean, they've been on a hot streak. The Saints have been like, meh, just like okay. I get that they're at home, but I think I'm gonna go with the Jags here. Trevor Lawrence and those beautiful locks are gonna just fly through Louisiana and just do what he needs to do.
I love it. I love it. The long locks of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, who's broken out, and you make an argument that he's a top 5, if not top 3 running back right now.
Sure.
So I'll ride with you on that for sure. Money line plus 106. Look out for Bruce pick on this game, dropping on all of our social medias a couple hours before the game on Thursday.
What's his record?
He is currently 13-5-2. So he has 2
Oh,
pushes. He is fucking insane, Sam. He is a way better gambler than me. It was funny last week. I had my buddy Grant on,
yeah.
and I asked him about the Thursday night game, and he goes, "I have no opinion on primetime games until Brew tells me what to pick." Because it's insane. Like he's hitting it like 70%. He ended up losing last night because
Pretty
he had
good.
the Chargers, but he hit me with an insane fake out, which is so funny because I
Love those.
record it without all the the little shit I add in after. I just have to remember which team is which, and his last game he takes one step, he looks at the right, and then just goes
Yeah.
and takes the left one. And
I love the fake outs.
as I'm recording it, I'm like, oh, like I couldn't take it because I knew he was taking the Chargers, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I wanted to take the Chargers. I didn't want to root for the Cowboys, but it's just so funny. Like it's like this shit is such a crapshoot that my dog knows way better than I am. So fuck it, I'll just take whatever he says.
Yeah.
But
Ride with Drew.
I get so many comments on it. That's something I'm so happy that I started doing. And
Yeah.
I actually just had a Facebook memory pop up yesterday from 2021 of him doing another fucking fake out. I'm like, so I shared, I was like, he's been hitting me with these for 2 years. And at that point, it's funny, his record was like 11-5. So like he's been doing this shit. Okay. He knows what he's doing. So this one just so happens to be the second game listed on FanDuel here where I'm getting all these lines. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on this. The Washington Commanders going to the Giants. The Commanders are favored by 2.5, over under a 39.5. Give me your breakdown of this game as a Giants fan.
Honestly, so I just did the show with Tom Scavetta, Big Blue Avenue today, and the whole show, we end the show with our predictions for the game. And the whole show, I'm like, I think I'm gonna take the Giants. I think I'm gonna do it. And then all of a sudden we came to the end and I was just like, Giants. And then I was like, why did I say that? Like, I don't know what's empowered over me.
You gotta go with your gut.
Yeah, but like, I'm sure the Bears have this effect on you as well, but like
11:50 every fucking Sunday. I'm like, what's the money line? +3, whatever. Imagine if they win. That's worth $10.
Yeah.
So yeah, I talk myself into it every Sunday. Yeah.
It's like this hope just like comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, my team's gonna win this week, and you're just like, I don't know why, but I think it's gonna be super low scoring. My score prediction was 21-17. What's the line on that?
2.5.
Okay, so 4 points, but I don't know.
Giants win.
They're coming off of this emotional, very hectic game, prime time.
And
A divisional game.
The Commanders are coming off a win. You're home underdogs in a divisional game. That is also
Plus the Giants do so well when we're like shit. Like when they're just like falling apart and like they're like frayed on the edges, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're gonna give you the best game we've ever had. And you're like, cool.
It seems to happen every week in the NFL. There's at least one game where it's like there's one team that comes in with all this momentum, another team that's coming off like just a brutal loss, and that's the team that'll just kick ass, right? So it very well could be the Giants at this week at noon. It's one of those games that will probably be shown on Red Zone maybe 3 times, so you won't really have to worry about it. Fucking over under on Red Zone appearances on this game is probably 2.5 too. But give me your pick. What is it? Are you taking the Giants?
I'm going Giants.
I love it. I love it. You're riding with your squad. I definitely appreciate that. So next up, we're going to go Cleveland going to Indianapolis. The Browns are also favored by 2.5. The over-under in this game is 40. Browns coming off that win against the 49ers. The Colts coming off a loss to the Jaguars where Gardner looked terrible. Yeah. I think every time they showed him on Red Zone, it was him throwing a fucking interception.
Yeah, and now I feel like team morale is probably a little bit low because Anthony Richardson's officially done for the season.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Not great. I mean, I'll always root for Gardner Minshew. I don't care where he's at. I was even kind of rooting for him in Philly, but we said it last week.
Because me and Grant were both on the Colts. We're like Gardner Minshew revenge game. Gardner
Oh,
Minshew
yeah.
revenge game. He's the most electric backup in the NFL. I do still think that. I think
I
he
agree.
just had a bad week.
Yeah. I do think that the Browns are gonna go into this game a little cocky after beating the 49ers, so I am gonna pick the Colts here only because, like, now Gardner's probably like, "Okay, Anthony is out, it's me. Like, I gotta put everything into this game." Not that he hasn't been doing that already, but, like, I don't know. I can't go against the man, and I think that the Colts could win this, after the Browns are coming off. They're probably like, "Oh, look at us, we should beat the 49ers." You're just like, "Alright, relax."
I'm pretty sure the Colts are wearing their new alternate
Ooh.
uniforms for this game as well, which I like the black helmets, but I wasn't like a huge fan of the uniforms overall. It's funny. My brother Jacob is a sophomore now at Butler over in Indianapolis,
Mhm.
and my birthday is next Tuesday. So my mom just texted me over the weekend, was like, "Hey, how about for your birthday? Would you like tickets to the Colts game to go with your brother?" And I was like, "Sure." So I got to pick what game I want to go to. But
Cool.
I've been to Lucas Oil one time, but it was for NCAA tournament game. So I've never actually seen a football game in there. So I'm excited to
That's cool.
go chill with my chill, get my brother drunk, and watch some football. Man, I went over last winter. The Bulls were playing the Pacers,
Ooh.
and we went in. I go, "You want a beer?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, I'll get you a beer. So, and then he's like, "Well, it was funny because I think it was snowing, or there was a chance that his classes got canceled. The
Yeah.
next day, we had maybe 3 or 4. I'm like, "You want another one?" He goes, "No, I think I'm good. I might still have to get up at 8:30 for class tomorrow." I was like, "Oh, you are just so different from from what I was like as a fucking freshman in college." But oh no, okay, we got to do this one now.
Okay.
The Raiders going to Chicago to play the Bears.
That's
The
right.
Raiders favored by 3 points, over under of 37.5. Am I mistaken? Did Brian Hoyer play last week? Did Jimmy G get hurt?
Yeah. No,
Is
it's not Brian Hoyer, it's, Aiden
it
O'Connell.
was O'Connell? Okay. I feel like I saw them showing Hoyer on the
He did.
broadcast or something.
Isn't he on the Patriots now?
Hoyer? I thought he was on the Raiders. Is he not?
I'm Googling it. Oh, he is on the Raiders, you're right. There's so many Patriots quarterbacks now, I don't even know how to
Oh,
keep
I
track of
know.
'em.
Malik Cunningham getting in there.
Yeah, he is on the No, you're right. I think did he go into the game?
October 15th versus the Patriots. 102 yards.
Alright.
Brian
Brian Hoyer.
former Patriots, Brian Hoyer, Jacoby Myers lead Raiders and win.
Do you
Okay.
see his first name, his first legal name is Axel?
Oh yeah, I did see that. Why Axel Hoyer
Why
is
was that
so
kept a
much cooler
secret?
than Axel Hoyer is so much cooler than Brian. So I
Right?
don't know. Obviously, we're recording this on Wednesday, so we don't know the status of Jimmy G just yet. But I
Yeah.
still I can't. I don't have the integrity that you do. I think the Raiders win this game. I really do. I just can't bet. I can't do it until Sunday at 11:50 when I convince myself, oh fuck it, Tyson Bagent is the guy and he's gonna lead us to a win.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking people's money here, I'd probably take the Raiders. I don't wanna lead anyone astray.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah,
But I
I hear
also
that.
wanted to pick the Bears for you so that we
I
had
know.
this glimmer of hope together.
We might. Okay, I'll say this. I saw a quote from DJ Moore today that said he is very confident in Bagent, with how he's performed in the preseason, and he's shown some stuff at practice.
Okay.
So we'll see. Also, fun fact: his Tyson Bagent's dad is like a world famous arm wrestler or something like that. He's like fucking yoked.
Oh,
It's crazy. Um,
that's
but
wild.
I just know, guys, I'll convince myself that the Bears have a chance in this game. I will be on my couch on Sunday, fucking living and dying with every snap, and live tweeting it, of course. I get so many. My buddies, like, I always look forward to following your Twitter on Sunday and just get so many out of context tweets about the Bears, because if you didn't know like what I was watching, you would literally have no idea what I was
No,
talking about.
that's the best way to tweet, though. It's
I
like when
know.
the Giants are on and I do, like, send out a couple tweets here and there. Like, last week, I think I just tweeted out the word "pain" at, like, midnight,
Oh,
and I
been
was like
there, been there.
it's like, who's gonna know out of context what's going on here? It's just pain.
Uh, we'll move on. We'll go to the Bills. They're going to New England. The Bills are getting 8.5
Ooh,
points, over under 40.5. It's weird to see the Patriots be as
bad?
bad as they are, right?
I love
Um,
it.
it's not bad, and I know they were like, when they first were around, they weren't that good, and then they just had that ungodly run that they did. But it's kind of nice to see them come back down to earth. This
Yeah,
feels like a bounce back game for me for the Bills. I know they're going on the road, but I can see this as a like a 10-point 13-point victory for the Bills. If I'm being very honest with you, I don't think there's anything you can really look at the Patriots that they're doing right now and be like, yeah, I'm in on that. You know what I mean?
no, I think no, you definitely should not be going with the Patriots. I mean, they put up 17 points last week for like the first time in like 3, 4 weeks. Like they were not putting up points. What was it? It was like that outrageous number that they were outscored like 82-3 or
Right.
something like that in like the last 3 games. I'm not worried. Even with the Bills like literally dead defense right now. I can't see. This is a divisional game. Even though the Bills won last week, it's kind of like, they didn't play a great game. So
Right.
I'm definitely gonna go with the Bills.
It feels like a get right game, right? It feels
Mhm.
like Josh Allen had like 167 yards passing last week. This feels like a game where the offense
Definitely.
comes out and they're like, all right, we're gonna go score, and we're gonna score fast.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 400, 4 touchdowns, running one in. He's gonna
Oh,
be off.
let's put in a little same game parlay. 400 plus yards for Allen and a rushing TD. I'm in on that. That'll be a very juicy payout.
You're welcome.
Yeah, credit Sam. I'll Venmo you. Next up we go. The Falcons are going to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers favored by 2.5, over under of 37.5. I think I like the Falcons here. I think they win the game.
Um, I think I'm gonna go Buccaneers here.
Let's go. Let's go
I've
head to
been
head.
rooting for the Bucks. I don't know if you remember, but I'm a huge Baker fan.
How could I
Um
forget?
He's literally he's literally the background of my phone. It's like my fiance is like my main screen, but then when you open my phone, it's Baker Mayfield.
Oh my
Um,
God.
because I love him. But even though last week they did not look good last week, but it's also the creamsicle curse. So I'm like completely extracting that game. Baker's been looking good. The Falcons are like they look good, but also kind of iffy. So I
Hmm.
feel like here it's like a either or kind of deal, like either or of these teams could take this. So I'm gonna go Bucks here.
And I very well could be recency bias for me, because the
Sure.
Falcons are coming off a win and the Buccaneers are coming off a loss where I took
Yep.
them on the money line. Um, so it could be just be revenge. And again, it was kind of like we were talking about with the Giants and Washington.
Right.
It's could very well be one of those games where you're like, this team is coming off a loss. They have no momentum, and they could just come out and go off. And,
Yeah.
and also, I'm not a Baker Mayfield hater. I always remembered you talking about Baker just because he was always the butt of the joke on the
Yeah.
internet. But it's kind of
Mhm.
nice to see him having some type of success in Tampa
Right?
Bay, because he really hasn't been that bad. I was a fan of the creamsicle, by the way. I think
Oh,
those are super
love
sharp.
him.
But it is unfortunate that they just don't win
Yeah.
in those uniforms. Next up, this is another underdog I really like. The Detroit Lions going to the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are getting 3 points. The over-under is 42.5. Guy like me is taking the Lions money line plus 126 and over 42.5 in the game. I like some points to be scored in this one.
And you'll get points. The Lions put up points. So I'm 100% taking the Lions in this game. I mean, the Ravens, yes, they could put up a fight, but man, I love watching these Lions. But I know that they're in your division and
They're in my division, but the thing about them, like I was
so easy to root for
talking
them.
about with the Browns, like they're just hard to hate. They are never good. And I am also a Jared Goff fan.
Sure.
similar to you with Baker, like everybody wrote him off as like, oh, this guy sucks. He's actually not that bad. They've had
No.
350 plus yards of offense in every game this year. His receivers are sick, and he has a Jared Goff is a good quarterback. I don't care what you say. I will die on that hill. I'm in on Jared Goff. Their head coach, Man Campbell, is super fucking likable. They've got the former Bear David Montgomery in the backfield looking fucking awesome. So
On my fantasy team.
good for you. And they also have former Illinois safety Kirby Joseph in their secondary. So they are in my division, but I don't hate Detroit. I just can't.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the Bears play them, I'm going to root for the Bears, but any other time, I'm in on them for sure. So
I just love them. I just love watching them play. They're a gritty team. Like you said, Jared Goff was like, I think he was always this good. It was just where he was at, and then the coach, and he did go to the Super Bowl. Like,
well, yeah, right. And it's tough when a franchise kind of just gives up on you, right? And, let's not pretend that anybody would be excited to be shipped from LA to Detroit. But quite a change of scenery. But, he's taken it, ran with it. He's never hung his head about it. Been total pro, and I like them to win this game. And, Baltimore's looked really good this year. They have. I just think Detroit's looked better.
Yeah. And Jared Goff came back at Ryan Fitzpatrick for calling him the poor man's Matt Ryan. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. No.
On like the third when they played Thursday night, Ryan Fitzpatrick called him the poor man's Matt Ryan, and Jared Goff came on. He was like, "I didn't know I was a poor man's anything," and I was like, "Go, Jared!
Good for you, dude."
Pick up for yourself.
What the fuck does poor man's Matt Ryan even mean? Okay. Let's move on to our first 3:00 game. So it is a NFC West divisional matchup. It is the Cardinals going to the Seahawks. Seahawks are getting 7.5 points in this one, over under 44.5. Cardinals are weird, right? Because they're not good, but like they beat the Cowboys and they can kind of hang around with you. Is Kyler Murray's almost back? I think.
I hope they don't put him back in. I'm so rooting for Josh Dobbs.
He's a good guy. Like, he's good to root for. He's a nice guy to root for. What do you think? Do you think Seahawks are at home? Yeah. Are they going to cover by more than a touchdown?
I don't know. I feel like this could come down to like a field goal type of situation. But in terms of wins, I think the Seahawks are going to win, but I feel like it's going to be like a good bird game, like I feel like it's like the Cardinals and the Seahawks are going to go head to head. Like the Cardinals make it interesting, even though they don't really win. So like, I don't know, but I do think that the Seahawks are going to win.
They just kind of, they're like the meme of the little, what's his name? I think it's like Beetlejuice or whatever. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's, "I don't know, just hanging around." Like that's the Cardinals in every game. They're just fucking.
And they beat the Cowboys, which for me, I'm stoked about it.
All in on that. I'm all in on that as well. We'll move on because I guess I kind of like the over. If I had to take anything, I'd take over 44.5. Just give me points. It's always fun to root for when you don't really have anything else to root for. We'll go next. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to LA to play the Rams. Rams are favored by 3, over under of 43.5. I know your brother is a Steelers fan.
He is.
What do you think about this game?
I mean, the Steelers are coming off of their bye, so they've had quite a lot of rest time. But
their offense stinks.
Yeah, they're pretty poopy. I mean, I think I'll go Rams here only because of their offense and how Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are like this insane wide receiver duo.
Incredible how Puka just stepped in and
no one could pronounce his name.
Basically took the Cooper Kupp role pretty seamlessly, right? Like it was, that's always been the Rams offense. Well, not always, but as long as they've had, this Kupp and Stafford connection is just kind of force feed Kupp the ball. And his first few weeks, I think Puka Nacua did a incredible job. I also like Tutu Atwell. They've got two
Yes.
receivers with really fun names to say.
Yes.
I will take the Rams here. I'll lay the points. I'll lay the number here -3. I just can't trust the Steelers. My buddy Grant last week said the Steelers are like the Iowa of the NFL because I mean their offenses stink, their defenses are incredible, and they always find a way to win on some fourth quarter bullshit. So I think this one could come down to the end just because the Steelers defense is that good. But I just can't. I can't trust Kenny Pickett and the Denver offense at the moment. Not Denver, the fucking Pittsburgh offense. Denver's the next game. I looked, I glanced over.
Can't trust them either.
No, I absolutely not. But I think they have a chance to win this one. Packers are going to Denver for our next game. The Packers are favored by 1.5 currently. Over under of 45. Kind of feels like a lot of points for once. I might take an under here, Sam. Oh my God. What do you think? The Packers, do they bounce back and take down a very bad Denver Broncos team? Or do the Broncos finally, kind of get right and beat somebody that's not the Bears?
Right. I'd like to think like it's so weird. Like the Denver defense is so bad, and yet also like they like pop off sometimes, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, be bad or be good. You can't be both.
You gotta pick one.
I'd like to think that this week the Broncos defense is going to be bad. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with the Packers here though. I think I'm gonna do it, but this is a weird game. I feel like it's one of those games that you're gonna be like, whatever, and then it turns out to be like a freaking standoff. Like it's gonna go back and forth. Because like it's always those games that you think you're not gonna care about, and then all of a sudden you're like sitting there at the edge of your seat on red zone. You're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? So, but Mr. Unlimited, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Packers here.
Packers. I'm going to go against you. I'm going to take
Okay.
the Broncos because I'll take any opportunity to pick against the Packers.
Fair.
And their offense isn't awful. I know they looked really awful against Kansas City. Of course, they did in prime time, but other than that, they haven't been that bad. They're at home. Shit, we'll see what happens. Next up, this will be a fun one. Chargers are going to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 5.5. Over under of 47.5. What do you think? This is a tough one.
This is gonna be a good one. All those AFC West showdowns are always so good. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs here though. The Chargers, if they looked a little bit better, even if they lost last week, I would say that there's a toss up, but they did not look good. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.
I agree with you here. I think the Chiefs is the play. Their defense is actually pretty dang good for the amount of flack they've gotten for it, and just they're one of the, I think, either the youngest or the second youngest like average age defense in the NFL. Obviously, you have Chris Jones that makes a big difference, but Karlaftis has been really good for him. On the defensive line as well. Nick Bolton has been good too. So I think the Chiefs the pick. It's just hard to take the Chargers, like you said, after that performance on Monday night. Next up, Sunday Night Football. I think the game of the week. Miami going to Philly. Philly's favored by 2.5, over under 51.5. I love the Dolphins. I'll take the Dolphins money line plus 120. I also think you take whatever Tyreek Hill's over on his receiving yards is, because he just seems to go for 150 yards like every week.
No, he's been carrying me through fantasy for sure. I love this game. First of all, I think it's going to be a great game to watch. Not only am I rooting for the Dolphins, but I'm picking the Dolphins to win. But oh man, I think it's going to be one of the best games in the prime time this year.
Me too. There's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, the Eagles have been outstanding up until this last week. Jalen Hurts, and they've revolutionized the tush push. They just added Julio Jones to their offense, by the way.
Random as hell.
Yeah, as if they needed another weapon. I'll be curious to see like how involved he gets. Obviously, I think it's what Quez Watkins is down and somebody else, I think. So he might actually, I think he has an opportunity to go in there and like actually get some targets. I don't know if he'll play this week, but it'd be kind of cool. Like, I don't know, you come off the street on Monday or Tuesday and you're playing on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, he's not just some random dude off the street, right? He's a fucking Hall of Fame caliber receiver, but I don't know. I'm sure you, like me, saw that on Monday and said, wait a minute, what?
Yo, I was like, what the heck is going on? You know what's also going to be good about this game is the storyline of like the college storyline where Tua replaced Jalen.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It just came to me just now. Because, like, you know, in Alabama, they took Jalen out, put Tua in. Jalen goes to Oklahoma, beats Alabama. Like, chef's kiss.
Narrative.
The script writers were scripting.
The script. Yeah, it's all scripted. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a million of those cuts on Sunday Night Football. They will milk the shit out of that. I didn't even think about that till now. That's awesome. So we'll close it out. Our last game of the week is Monday Night Football. San Francisco going to Minnesota. The 49ers favored by 7, over under of 44. Kind of like we were talking about with the Bills, this feels like a get right game for me with the 49ers. I think we got to wait and see what the status of Debo and Trent Williams and CMC are. But I thought I read something from Schefter yesterday that said their injuries are not believed to be long-term. But what do you think? You think San Francisco comes in and wins by more than a touchdown? Do you think they win? What do you got?
I like to think that after Brock Purdy, even if these injured guys don't play, Brock Purdy experienced the game without them and is now like, okay, this is what happened. You know, not having Trent Williams for Brock Purdy, I mean, you could deal with Debo and CMC, but like Trent Williams is a huge deal. So I feel like he can now kind of adapt and be like, okay, this is who I don't have. This is what I'm working with. And work with it a little bit better. And coming back, like you said, get right kind of game. The Vikings could be surprising though, but I think I am going to go with the 49ers.
I like it. I will definitely take the Niners. If I'm picking, I'll take the 49ers. We'll see. Like I said, look out for Brew's pick because it's always kind of just a blind tail for me. So on Thursday night, Monday night, and Sunday night as well. But Sam, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I like how we're head to head on a few of them, but pretty much on the same page. It's a big underdog week for me. I love it. I love hungry dogs run faster, baby. Before we get out of here, please plug yourself one more time. Anything you want everybody out there to know about Unsolicited or whatever you got going on.
Totally. So, like I said earlier, I have a podcast called The Unsolicited Podcast with Sam and Jordan. It is me and the sporty Jordy, Jordan Herrard Coupe. Every week we talk about football, we talk about pop culture, we talk about, like last week I asked her some random hypothetical about beating up a 12-year-old version of yourself. It's a really fun time. So we just kind of like, sometimes we don't even prepare. We just kind of like talk. So it's like, if you ever want to be like on FaceTime with your besties, that's kind of how Unsolicited is.
I love it.
Yeah, so you can find us on YouTube at The Unsolicited Podcast with Sam and Jordan. We are on all TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at the Unsolicited_podcast. And we are on Twitter at Sam and Jordan. And we put out a new episode every week and just kind of, do whatever we want. It's a lovely thing.
I love it. I love it. I always love your guys' content. It is definitely something I'd recommend to any NFL fan, any pop culture fan. They do a great job of mixing all that together. I love it. Sam, it's so good to talk to you. So good to see you again. I can't thank you enough for joining me this week. Before we get out of here, I want to remind everybody, please like and subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/The Brew Party. Check out the merch on our Etsy shop, www.etsy.com/shop/brew party. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Brew Party, and on Facebook at The Brew Party Podcast. Tell a friend who tells a friend who tells a friend. Let's win all our bets this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go Bears. Let's go Giants. Let's hope it's not another weekend of misery for Sam and I. But is it really miserable with 7 hours of commercial-free football? I
Can't be mad at that.
don't think so. Any Sunday I get to spend with my best friend Scott is a good Sunday in my book. Sam, thank you so much. For Sam, I'm Andy. Brew's been here too. Please excuse that. But this is the Brew Party Podcast, episode 116. We're out of here.